Hey guys, welcome to the channel. If you're looking to make a move to Portland or somewhere there in the vicinity of Portland, somewhere in the area, well, then you're in luck, because in this episode we're gonna cover Scarborough, Maine. Scarborough sits just south of Portland. It's a beach community. We're gonna talk about the top 4 or 5 reasons why people live in Scarborough. We're gonna talk about a couple of cons of living in Scarborough. I got the latest July market report that I'm gonna go over real quick of what's going on in the housing market in Scarborough for the month of July. And if that's of interest to you, then sit back, because we're going to get after that right now. Alright guys, welcome to the channel. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living, eating, breathing, working, playing, whatever there is to do in Maine, then I would encourage you to subscribe to this channel, tap that bell to be notified when I drop new content, which is about a weekly basis. I'm a little bit behind because I've taken a few days off, but on a weekly basis I try to bring you content on what it's like to live here in Maine. Guys, my name is Scott Tebow. I'm a broker with eXp Realty. The team and I, we get calls, texts, emails, messages all the time asking us for help, asking us what it's like to live in Maine, asking us if we could help them move here or even sell here or buy something else here. We love it. So if that's of interest to you, then this video is going to be helpful to you. It doesn't matter to me if you're living, going to move here, or you're living here and you're going to sell or buy in 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years. The whole purpose of this channel is to educate everybody out there what it's like to live in Maine, what it takes to live here, how the lifestyle is here, and why you might want to move here if you're considering making a change from a different part of the country. So with that said, as I said, we're going to talk about Scarborough, Maine. And Scarborough, as I said in my open dialogue, borders Portland, Maine. It's a beach community. One of the biggest benefits of living in Scarborough is in fact it borders Portland, Maine. So you kind of got the best of both worlds. You got your 10-15 minutes outside of Portland, which, oh by the way, Portland was ranked by World News, maybe it was ABC News and World Report, as the 7th best city to move in to and live in the country in 2023, best largest city to live in based upon quality of life, the market, and other intangibles. But so Portland's a pretty popular place, and Scarborough's right to its south, so there's a lot of reasons why people like living in Scarborough. So you got the spillover. Again, number one reason, you got the spillover, you got the restaurants, your shops, the people that are setting up building companies or moving companies that kind of moving into Scarborough, as Portland's getting kind of full. So you're right next door. I kind of liken Scarborough to having grandchildren in a way. And I know it's kind of funny, but so you have, my wife and I have a grandchild, and we can get them sugared up and have fun with them all day. When we're done, give them back to their parents, right? Kind of like probably some of you. Well, that's kind of like living in Scarborough. You can go into Portland, have fun, have all the stuff you want to do, go on tours, go hang out on the beaches, go shopping, have some go to restaurants, see a show, whatever. And then when you're done with all the hustle and bustle, you can drive 10 or 15 minutes and you're going to be right back at home in Scarborough, where it's quiet and you're going to feel like your day was fulfilled. So that's what I mean, like having grandchildren. Second reason why people live in Scarborough, the beaches. They have tremendous beaches. There's 3 beaches in Scarborough that I'm aware of. Pretty sure it's only 3. You got Ferry Beach, you got Scarborough Beach, and then you have the prestigious Pine Point Beach. Now Pine Point, if you look at any of my other videos, especially the one I did on Saco, Pine Point's in that Saco Bay kind of Atlantic Ocean beach front, where you got Pine Point Beach on one end and Camp Ellis on the other, and Old Orchard Beach right in the middle. So it's a flat white sand beach. It's pretty big. It's got restrooms, it's got a shower, it's got a place to eat, it's got parking. But a lot of people come to Pine Point Beach and hang out on the beach, and then they want to go get a bite to eat or go play some video games or go to an amusement park or whatever. You can walk like 1.5 miles down the beach and you're in Old Orchard Beach, which is a pretty big community in the summertime, especially for tourists. You got an amusement park there, you got a pier, you got all kinds of food, bars, good restaurants. So a lot of people just walk down to Orchard Beach from Pine Point Beach. There's also some pretty good fishing on Pine Point Beach, more so the Nonsuch River dumps into Pine Point Beach, the jetty to the left, and you get some striper fish that come up that jetty, come up that river, and there's a mooring and a place to hold boats right around the corner. But there's a lot of striper fish that kind of live in there, and you can catch some pretty good striper whether you're on a boat or from the shore on the jetty. So very popular beach, but the 3 beaches in Scarborough are all really nice, and a lot of people enjoy those beaches year round. When I say year round, yeah, people aren't laying out in the wintertime, but it's very dog friendly. Run your dogs on the beach in the wintertime, and my dog specifically loves being in Pine Point Beach and running up and down the beach. You're not allowed to have them off leash from, I think, April 1st to October 15th, except in the morning you can up until 9 a.m. on Pine Point Beach. So when I have my dog here and it's a nice day, I take him to Pine Point Beach early in the morning, because you got to have him on leash after that. And if your dog's like my dog, it doesn't want to be on a leash on a beach. So Pine Point Beach, pretty happy in the beach. Third reason why people want to live in Maine, third reason why people live in Scarborough, is the school system. Scarborough is one of the best school systems in Maine, if not one of the best school systems in New England. I'm a little prejudiced. I have all my kids went through the Scarborough school system. They're all in college now, so they've gone through it. Very familiar with the Scarborough school system. They did me right. My kids are all in college. They all did pretty well in the school system. Yeah, it wasn't easy for them sometimes, but school's not supposed to be. But it's a pretty good school system. There's about 1,100 students, so I know you might be watching me from, I don't know, Texas or Los Angeles, or some of these big communities that have 3 and 4 high schools in their district. Well, we only have one in Scarborough. It's 1,100, probably pretty small by your comparisons, but Scarborough school system is pretty good. The high school, again, 1,100 people. It's pretty good. It does a great job with its athletic program. They were state champions in football not too long ago. They got a lot of, football, basketball, the traditional sports. They're a big soccer community. They got a lot of extracurricular activities too, not just sports. So they're really well set up for the schools in Scarborough, and I know the community appreciates the school system quite a bit. And that leads me to the 4th reason why a lot of people live in Scarborough, and that is the community. If you live in Scarborough, you're going to probably know a lot of other people live in Scarborough. Scarborough's not a community where you don't know your neighbor. A lot of people, it's an outdoorsy community. A lot of people spend a lot of time outdoors in Maine in general, and I will say more so in Scarborough and kind of communities like Scarborough, Saco, Biddeford, any of those kind of coastal communities, Portland, Falmouth, just because there's so much stuff to do. You're one with nature. You got a quality of life. There's not a ton of people that are wall to wall that you can't move. But quality, the tight-knit community is the sense of community in Scarborough is pretty pronounced. People that live in Scarborough, and in Maine in general, but the people who live in Scarborough are wicked nice. Remember that word wicked, because wicked is a Maine saying, but wicked nice. And they just love, the people that live here are very friendly, I find, and outgoing. I lived in Scarborough for 11 years, I want to say. So the Scarborough school system and the Scarborough community in general, no complaints, love living here. Moved further south as I got into some different housing and had some different investments, but great place to live, great place to raise kids. And that kind of leads me to the 5th thing. The 5th reason why people live in Scarborough, and this is really not a huge pro, but I'm going to list it as a pro, is it's so safe it is. Now, Maine in general is a pretty safe state. I think if you look at some of my other videos, Maine running number 2, second in terms of one of the safest states in the country. So how much safer can a community be if you're already in a state that's ranked 2nd? And again, that's why I'm not sure it's totally a pro, but Scarborough's a really safe community. Police department does a really good job. You don't have a lot of capital crimes and capital issues, crime issues in Scarborough, if any, right? You might have some petty theft, you might have somebody stealing something, or an OUI, we call that in Maine OUI, under the influence versus a DUI. But you might have some of those circumstances here, but in general, Scarborough's a pretty safe place to live. It's a great place to raise a family, and it's a great place to just, if you're going on vacation, a lot of people just go on vacation, they have a stay vacation, because I don't know of a lot of people, there's not a lot of other places you want to be if you're on vacation in the summertime than in Maine, and definitely Scarborough's one of those communities you want to live in. Two cons to living in Scarborough, guys, from my perspective. Pricing, housing prices is high. Scarborough's kind of in that top 5 market in Maine where you have house prices over $500,000. It's probably because it's so close to Portland, so close to very large job markets. You're right on the beach, so the housing market in Scarborough is going to be higher than some of the houses in other parts of the state. That being said, for quality of life and return on investment and market availability and house prices, Maine is ranked actually first in New England. So the other 5 New England states are all more expensive than us, but Scarborough's going to be a little bit higher than some of the other communities. If you're anywhere around the Portland market, Portland, Westbrook, Scarborough, Cape Elizabeth, Yarmouth, Falmouth, you're going to pay higher housing prices than you are in other parts of the state of Maine. That being said, you're also going to get some pretty nice houses. Colonials, 3-bed, 2-bath, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,000, 2,500 square feet, garages, pretty good lots of land, unless you're right on the beach, and you're going to really have some pretty cool views, obviously, if you're looking at the ocean. But yeah, Scarborough housing market is a little higher than it is in other parts of the state. And with that being said, I printed off the July numbers, July 2023 for Scarborough. So I'm just going to give you some of these statistics just so you have an idea of what the housing market is in Scarborough. The first number I'm going to give you is absorption rate. So what is absorption rate? I get that question asked a lot. What is absorption rate? Well, in Scarborough, the absorption rate in July was 1.36. So what does that mean, absorption rate? That means if I was living in Scarborough and I went to sell my house today, it would be gone in 1.36 months, which is about 6 weeks. Somebody else would be living in it. It turns over quite fast. So in a balanced market, and again, I talk about this in some of my other videos, in a balanced market, you have about 5 to 6 months of absorption rate. That means it's not slanted to the buyers and it's not slanted to the sellers. You're right in the middle. It's a good balanced market. When you have it skewed one way or the other, it's going to tell you if you have more than 5 or 6 months of inventory absorption rate, it's more of a buyer's market. Obviously, if you have less than 5 or 6 months of inventory, it's more of a seller's market. And with it being 1.36 months, it's definitely a seller's market, probably like a lot of the country. The average list price, guys, in Scarborough, and these numbers are a little jaded because I know of some pretty big houses that just sold on the beach, but the average list price in July for Scarborough was $887,449. Now the medium list price, which is really the high, the low, kind of the medium, was $762,000, and the average sale price, which is lower than the list price, was $643,562. So medium sale price is $550. So on average, you're going to pay between $500,000 and $700,000 to live in Scarborough. And one of these, they're not small little houses. They're, typically they're family style houses, 2,000, 2,500 square feet, typical colonials or other bigger houses, 3-bed, 4-bed, 2-bath, full basements, 2-car garages. I think Scarborough, parts of it, I think it's a ½ acre if you're on the east side of 95, the interstate. If on your west side, I think it's like 1½ acres, almost 2 acres. So you're going to have some land with it. You're not going to be just piled upon each other. But that's what's going on in market in Scarborough. And then the median days on market is 6. So what does that tell you? That tells you that when you put your house on the market in Scarborough, you're probably under contract within 6 days. And that's good and bad, because what is happening here is because there's not enough inventory, there's more buyers. There's a frenzy still of people putting in offers in the house. And as a listing broker, and I work both sides of the equation, but as a listing broker, you're really gonna understand contracts. You really gotta understand what you're reading. You really gotta do your due diligence. It's one thing to accept a purchase and sale agreement. It's another thing to understand how qualified the buyer really is, the type of loan they have, the type of contingencies they're gonna have. And it's one thing from getting a house under contract, it's very different to getting it to close. And I'm going to tell you, people ask me all the time, why do I need a broker to sell my house? And that's exactly the reason is, yeah, you can get a bunch of offers, but you're going to have to manage the whole process. You're going to have to deal with title companies, attorneys, make sure the contract's right, the lenders, all the stuff that comes up when you're in that period of trying to close your house. So that is the biggest reason of why. Even understanding the deed, and if you're a buyer, what you're buying and how their deed reads. You know, if you don't understand that stuff, well, you got to get an attorney involved. A lot of the brokers that I work with and myself, and this isn't everybody in Maine, there's actually too many real estate agents in my opinion in this country, because the barrier of entry is so low. That shouldn't be in real estate. Or there should be a period where, you know, they really can't do much without some mentorship with stuff. But you really got to know what you're talking about when you're reading contracts, and you got to understand also how to position a house, how to buy the property. Guys, I just had this happen the other day. Had a buyer. It was the first house they looked at. It wasn't in Scarborough, but it was the first house they looked at. I thought they loved it. They had an inspection, everything went well. I thought they were going to buy. They called me on a Monday and saying, no, they're going to keep looking. Well, they talked to their daughter and son-in-law and said, yeah, it's the first house, you might want to look around. And I just, you can't talk somebody out of it. Okay, look around, but you're going to find out that what this house offers meets your needs. You're going to find other houses, but they're not going to be in your price point. Well, sure enough. So I had another buyer that was looking, so I brought the other buyer to this house, and they offered the same thing. So I didn't even have to really change the contract. It was kind of the same terms. I just had to let the listing broker know, hey, I got another buyer. They're going to buy the house. You have a problem with it? No, same terms, everything. Well, long story short, that second buyer was going through a divorce. At the last second, a week before closing, they decided to get a divorce. I'm like, are you crazy? A week before they were going to buy the house, they decided they didn't want to live together anymore, and they were getting a divorce. So they have all this earnest money involved. I go back to that first buyer who has now seen the market a few times and regrets not buying that house, and say, hey, here's an opportunity, you can have this house back. Sure enough, I signed the contract to him. The second buyer got most of their earnest money back, because the first buyer ended up giving them a good portion of their earnest money back to sign the contract, and they closed a week later. That's not for the faint of heart, guys. Most brokers don't do that, can't do that, or don't know how to do that. So, sorry guys, a lot of people driving by on this pond. I'm at Bailey's in Scarborough. It's a pretty large camping resort. My wife and I have a fifth wheel here, and that's why I'm there. It's in Scarborough, and this is why I am coming to you with this video, because I thought, what the heck, I'm hanging out in Scarborough at Bailey's Campground. I might as well make a video and talk about Scarborough while I'm here. But the housing market's kind of high, You know, the second kind of con is because it is so close to Portland, which is a pro, there is some traffic around the Route 1 areas closer to Portland, and definitely around the mall area. There's construction, there's new stuff going on. They're building a huge Costco in Scarborough. They already got a Sam's Club and all these other kind of the Lowe's and the Texas Roadhouses and the Targets and all that, but they're building a huge Costco here too, so it's tying up a lot of traffic. But Scarborough's a pretty popular place to live. A lot of people are trying to move here. If you're trying to try to move to Scarborough, you definitely got to have a plan. You got to be persistent, and you got to be patient. And if you're from afar, you definitely got to have a plan, and that's what we do all the time, guys. We help people all across this country move to Maine. We can be your eyes and ears. We can go in and do showings, do FaceTime or videotape it and send it back to you, coordinate with you, kind of be your, again, eyes and ears while you can't be here, to help you move into a place or find a place. And then when we get narrowed down and we're close, and we bring you up, and if you're looking, if you know, you can walk through the house yourself and see what you're potentially going to be buying. So popular place to live in Scarborough. We do this all the time. And if you're a seller and you're either looking to move out of state or move someplace different in Maine, again, guys, we do that all the time as well. I will talk about if you're going to move out of state. I just had this happen with one of my clients. Their kids have graduated, they're out of college, they're older, they're going to move down in South Carolina. They play golf all the time. They want to be in the warm weather year round. So I help them because of EXP. EXP is the largest independent brokerage company in the world. They are publicly traded under EXP Holdings, I say. I think their stock is around 24, 25 bucks right now. But I have peers in other parts of this country. So for this couple, I got in touch with a couple of brokers that I have met online through our portals and say, hey, I got clients up here. They're looking to buy a house in Myrtle Beach. Here's their pre-approvals. They're well qualified. I'm selling their house. Let's work together. You can help them find a house down there. I'll help them sell this house up here, and navigating that, making sure that they're not out of a home before they buy another home, and making sure before they buy another home, they have the money after they sold this house. So it's a thread that you gotta it's a needle that you gotta thread pretty closely. You got to stay on top of it. But one of the benefits to working with people like me and my team is we have partnerships all across the country. If you're a seller and you're looking to move out of state, and vice versa, if you're looking to move from here and you got a buyer or a broker down there, have them give us a call, send us a text, give us an email. We'll work with them to help you secure a location up here. Do it all the time. Pretty popular. We do a lot of that stuff here in Maine and in other parts of the country. I hope this video was helpful, guys. Again, as I said, I'm sitting here at Bailey's. I don't know if you can see the waterfall here, but I'm about a half a mile from Pine Point Beach. It's a beautiful day here in Maine. It's a beautiful day to be alive. It's awesome to be able to make a living here, be a broker here, just see that everything that Maine has to offer. So without further ado, guys, I hope you stay safe. I hope you're having a great day. I hope the weather's not too hot for you if you're in the south. If it is, come to Maine. It's about 80 degrees right now. It's beautiful. We did have a wet start of the summer, but now we're back into the regular kind of weather. We've had sun now straight for like 2 weeks now. It's been beautiful here. So hope to see you around town. If you're going to move here, drop me a line, send me a call, send me a text, book a Zoom call. Drop some comments in the comments section, guys. If you want to know anything, it doesn't necessarily have to be about Scarborough. If you want to know about a different community or something else in Maine, let me know. I mean, I live here, I'm from here, very entrenched in the things in Maine, from everything to the politics, to some of the laws that are happening around housing, to places to visit, sights to see, places to go eat. You know, I've been here quite a bit. So without ado, guys, I hope you're all doing well, and stay tuned for my next video. I'll drop another one in about a week. I think I'll do Old Orchard Beach next. All right, guys, take care.